Hello, fellow fans. I'm Mark. United with me is my co-host. Take me out to the ball game, Bryan. What up, Bryan?
Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks.
Oh, welcome everyone to United We Fan, the podcast on the Chip and Company Podcast Network. On the last episode, Bryan and I reviewed not one, not two, not three, but four things on our last episode. We reviewed Disney's Haunted Mansion, Marvel's Secret Invasion on Disney Plus, and Barbenheimer.
You did it, and then you just didn't trust yourself that you did it.
Berniber. Well, it's like I'm having flashbacks to Kevin Feige. But anyways, we reviewed all those for you in a long and short, non-spoiler and spoiler review. Check it out. Let us know if you agree with our reviews, if it made your top 10 of movies for the year or not. So let us know. This week's episode, we're rewinding it and re-releasing a very special episode just in time for the midway point of a certain season. We'll get to that as United We Fan starts now.
All right, let's do this one last time.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Football is life.
I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
X never, ever marks the spot.
Is Star Wars the one with the little wizard boy?
This is the way.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Ah, chills. Literal chills.
Hello, fans. Thank you all for uniting with us as we talk about all things fandom. Please give us a rate or review wherever you listen so we can connect with more fans out there on the Chip and Company Podcast Network. Bryan, before we start, a couple episodes ago, we did funny comedic moments in sitcoms, and I brought up a 30 Rock episode that guest starred the Paul Reubens. Sadly, the world lost him. He had a long battle with cancer. We know him from Pee-wee's Playhouse, Pee-wee Herman. He was one of the voices in several, did more than voices. He acted in several Tim Burton movies, Mystery Men. Pee-wee, Paul Reubens, thank you for making me laugh. I definitely enjoy Pee-wee's Big Adventure still, so thank you for that. But Bryan, before that, we talked about uniting with more fans out there. You got a fan thank you letter.
I got a big thank you letter. I want to give a shout out to Mike A. I've known him literally, it feels like my entire life. We haven't talked a ton recently, but I got a very nice message that said he appreciates anything that's good podcasting, good radio, and he says he's hooked. And especially his youngest child is also hooked. So shout out to Mike A. and Braxton. Thank you guys for listening to every episode. Braxton, we really appreciate you wanting to go watch everything after we talk about it. So hopefully we don't ruin things for you.
Appreciate that. Yeah. And also a longtime listener of the show, Mario, she's a vegetarian. Mario. I don't know. What's the actual name? Anyways, it doesn't matter. Hopefully you got that song reference.
It's only from Dumb and Dumber. That's all that it is.
Okay. She can't wait to listen to our mega review episode. She messaged the show. She's excited to listen to it, but she hadn't watched everything, so she can't wait to hear our reviews. So thank you, fans, for messaging us. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. Bryan, I have a random marathon for you. Are you ready?
Insert that for whatever sound we need.
I know, right? So, everyone, I just have random marathons. When I get in the mood for something, I watch it. I feel it. I lean into it. So recently, I did two series. I did Downey's Dream Cars. It's on HBO. And Robert Downey Jr., he did some independent movies where he played a billionaire playboy philanthropist. He converts his classic cars into environmentally friendly cars, so like electric, hybrid, ones that run on like cooking oil and stuff like that.
Or an arc reactor.
So, and then, but yeah, highly recommend it. Even if you're not a car fan, he keeps it very funny, and it's great to see like Robert Downey Jr., the person. So highly recommend it. And then partnered that up with Zac Efron. He's doing a show. It's a couple of seasons on Netflix. It's called Down to Earth, where he just travels around the world, learning about ways to help the environment, improving eating habits, and things like that. So if you're looking in a how to make the world a better place for you and for me and come on, Brian, you get that song reference, right?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just waiting for Zac Efron's Down to Earth to cross over with Chris Rock's Down to Earth movie from the mid 2000s.
Brian, I need Random Rushmore.
The game where everything's made up and the points don't matter.
Everyone playing at home. Brian is smart. I like to catch him off guard. He brought up Chris Rock. Brian, I need your Chris Rock Rushmore.
Dude, Down to Earth is like a full-blown guilty pleasure. I can't not imagine that movie has aged super well. But what if I told you Saw, the Chris Rock Saw, was on my Mount Rushmore? I've never seen it, but I feel like that might set you off, so that might be fun.
It was bad. I went into it really hoping, it's half a good movie.
Madagascar. Even though I don't have a massive passion for the Madagascar films, I'm probably gonna throw that on there. I think he's funny as his character that kind of coaches in The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler.
Yeah,
we are kind of. I mean, we did talk about Chris Rock on our Battle of the Chris's episode.
We did.
So I'm gonna throw Down to Earth on there, just because. And let's see. He was in Sergeant Bilko, the Steve Martin Sergeant Bilko.
All that movie.
Dogma. He was very briefly in Dogma. Was he in Friday?
No.
Pootie Tang. If you can't tell, I had to Google it because I don't know 4 Chris Rock movies off the top of my head. I'm gonna go with that, and I'm gonna go with my final
Beverly
one.
Hills Ninja? You going Beverly Hills Ninja?
Yeah, I think I will go Beverly Hills Ninja. Speaking of movies that haven't aged well.
I know. I'm going to go Grown Ups. I'm going to go Head of State.
Head of State is terrible.
I'm going to go The Longest Yard. And
Down to Earth. Down to Earth.
And then oh man. I'm going to go Lethal Weapon 4.
What did you talk me into my fourth one being?
Beverly Hills Ninja.
He's in that?
Yeah. He's the bell service guy who helps Chris Farley around Beverly Hills.
Oh.
Beverly Hills, that's where I want to be. Shibby. Anyways, thank you for playing Brian's Random Rushmore.
Man, Chris Rock films. Now I feel weird.
I know.
Just do stand-up. Chris Rock gets slapped by Will Smith. That's what I know him best from.
I do think he is one of them. He's a really good stand-up comedian. I do enjoy most of his stand-up.
He is. I will say that I didn't think that his most recent one that they did live on Netflix was very good.
I've heard that. I know several people reviewed it that way, so I haven't watched it yet because, I kind of lost my thunder.
Moving on. Let's go to the Disney Corner. Mark, I recently completed a trip to the Central Florida area. I have my Infinity Gauntlet. I have gotten all 7 songs that have ever existed on Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. September was my final one. I have now gotten every song on Cosmic Rewind, and I can officially say that I Ran from the Flock of Seagulls is my favorite song on Cosmic Rewind.
I am so happy. Everyone talks about September being their favorite, so
I would put September 3rd. I think second I would put Everybody Wants to Rule the World, just because it changes the entire vibe of that roller coaster so much.
I'm going to nominate Conga for the most underrated.
I got it so many times in a row, it kind of started to annoy me.
One way or another is my least favorite.
I got that one 3 out of 4 times last week.
Yeah. I mean, if we're sticking with Disney, Bryan...
It is the Disney Corner, after all.
I know. and we'll do a mini session of Bryan Recommends. Bryan recommended to me Star Wars Rebels. I was in the mood to watch Star Wars Rogue One, and I was like, Bryan brought up Rebels. I feel like that's going to be kind of the same era, same vibe. So, Bryan, you'll be happy to know I am I'm making my way through it. I'm enjoying it a lot. Right away, I was hooked on it. I'm only on season 2, so I'm getting there. But this was another good Bryan recommendation.
If you get hooked on season 1 of Rebels, you're going to be hooked on the rest of the show, certainly. And if you can finish the show before Ahsoka premieres in 3 weeks, then you're going to be in a really good spot. But if you aren't like Mark and you might not have the time to finish that, we will talk about Rebels, what you need to know headed into Ahsoka, which premieres with 2 episodes on August 23rd. So we will be here on United We Fan on August 19th talking Rebels, everything you need to know headed into Ahsoka.
And I think possibly my new favorite Star Wars droid is in Rebels as well. So that was a fun discovery.
Chopper.
I think that droid is just hilarious.
And in other Disney news, we got our first look at season 2 of Loki. That show looks very different than season 1. It was very good to see Obi, aka Short Round, aka Kiwi Kwan. I'm very excited for Loki season 2. I think the MCU is gonna need it because I think Loki's gonna be good, and I think a lot of people are gonna be back in. The problem's going to be Ahsoka's gonna be good, Loki's gonna be good, and then Echo's gonna drop around Thanksgiving, and I think we're telling you now, Echo's not gonna be good. People are then gonna be down on the MCU all over again. But I think Loki's gonna be fantastic. There's even a couple of jet skis in the trailer, so we've got a lot to do with Owen Wilson. What are they gonna do with the Jonathan Majors thing? Sounds like they're not reshooting anything. I wonder if they're cutting anything. But regardless,
you can't really reshoot now anyways.
Yeah, you can't reshoot now, that's for sure. So Loki season 2, October 6th, which will be on a Friday. Loki's going to drop on Fridays, not on Wednesdays. So Ahsoka is going to end on October 4th, and Loki's going to start on October 6th.
And just so everyone listening at home, Bryan and I are not those people, those fans who are wanting Echo to fail. I dislike those people who want stuff to fail.
No, I really like that character. She was really good in Hawkeye.
We're hoping it's good, but we're also seeing a glass is half empty when it comes to that upcoming. So I do like that Loki looks fresh. Doesn't look like it's just going to be a rehash. It looks like a good continuation of it. Bryan, October's coming up, spooky season. Haunted Mansion did not do well, and you have a theory when it comes to that movie.
Yeah, it did not do well. It was $33 million worldwide in its opening weekend. That's not ideal. It doesn't make a ton of sense to have released this film in the end of July. It did feel like, it feels to me now at this point with the lack of success in theaters, I think it's going to hit Disney Plus before Halloween.
Yeah. So you're thinking early October?
Give that movie a second life. Yeah. Maybe even just before Halloween, give it as much as they can without completely throwing in the towel. But I think at this point, if you want people to fall in love with this movie, you need to give them a reason to watch it. And around Halloween's the biggest reason of all.
I think it'll be a hit on Disney Plus.
I really do too. I think it's a good movie. I just think it's a concept that works much better for Disney Plus, unfortunately. Yeah.
You and I didn't hate it. We gave it a passing rating. So, speaking of spooky season, Universal Halloween Horror Nights announced most of their houses, all of their houses.
I think all now, right?
I don't know. So I think it's got a lot of fun stuff coming. The Dueling Dragons one, being someone who was familiar with that ride, close to that ride, I'm excited for that creative property. That's kind of a fun idea of basing houses on rides or former attractions. But
I saw the name. I didn't read up on it. What's the concept? How's it themed to the ride? I guess Dueling Dragons, is it not the Harry Potter version of Dueling Dragons? It's the before Harry Potter world? Yeah,
it was Fire and Ice, Merlin, wizardry, dragons, fun stuff like that. It was before they turned it into a Dragon Challenge.
Gotcha. Yeah, so, I haven't read up on it. And then I saw one that sounded like it was straight out of Twisted Metal, which That's a Peacock property.
Yep.
Like, that's NBC, Comcast, Universal. Like, could we get a Twisted Metal house next year? That'd be kind of cool. Have you watched Twisted Metal yet? Starring Captain America, Anthony Mackie.
I started watching it, and then have you seen it or no?
I've seen part of it.
I started the first episode, and I was
very aggressive.
There was a, I'm gonna, slight warning. There was a cute animal death that I was just like, nope, I need to pause this and come back to it later. Not John Wick level, but it made me take a second. And that's when I was like, I'll come back to this.
Those that I know that have powered through and watched the entire season really enjoyed it. But I do think it takes I think it takes some commitment to kind of keep going. And you got to suspend a lot of disbelief, which, I mean, I love the Twisted Metal video games. I haven't played them in 20 years, but
I haven't played it, so it'd be a fresh perspective for me. You had me at Anthony Mackie. I was like, all right. And then he starts swearing. And I'm like, all right, Cap, language.
Language.
All right, listeners, we're rewinding it, bringing it back. And I told you we had a special episode this weekend for mid-season. Bryan, what does that mean exactly?
So a peek behind the curtain a little bit. Mark and I, the creative juices are still flowing, but we're coming up with more ideas for the future. What better way to introduce our new fans over at the Chip and Company Podcast Network to what United We Fan is? We're going to release an older episode, which we did the Fantasy Field of Dreams. So if you hear any dated references, for example, who's playing in the Field of Dreams game in Major League Baseball, don't worry too much about it. But the concept of this is we talked about baseball, our favorite baseball films and stuff like that. And then we built out our Fantasy Field of Dreams. So we took anybody who was on a television show or movie and put them into a baseball roster. So, for example, I will spoil my first pick. Ed from the movie Ed, the chimpanzee playing third base, is my leadoff hitter.
Caught me off guard.
Stuff like that. So we built our own Fantasy Field of Dreams. We'll build out all the rules and all that kind of stuff within the episode. So if you hear dated references or anything, this is an older episode. We're joined by our friend of the show, Anthony, who also was part of this Fantasy Field of Dreams. So we hope you enjoy it. We will do this from time to time to be able to give brand new United We Fan episodes to the Chip and Company Podcast Network when we aren't able to get a full episode done. So we hope you enjoy it. We love baseball. We love August. But before that, let's hear from our sponsors.
Hey guys, Dislife Mark here, and I want to tell you all about the official travel partner here at Chip & Company. Let our good friend Sarah at Destination to Travel help you plan your next Disney vacation. Sarah specializes in planning dream vacations for your family. She's an authorized Disney vacation planner, and she can help with every step of your magical vacation. The best thing is that her services are 100% free. Want to travel beyond Disney? Sarah has you covered there too. Want to find out more? Fill out a trip request form over at the website at Chip & Co. or email her directly at sarahsolberg@d2travel.com. Start planning that dream vacation today. Email her at sarahsolberg@d2travel.com.
Well, we're going to take the field and we're going to draft our movie, television, fantasy all-star team. But we did do a baseball episode, and before we do that, Anthony, give us your movie Mount Rushmore so that people can know when you watch a baseball movie some of your favorites.
Okay. Number 4 is going to be Moneyball.
So good. Yep.
Number 3 is going to be The Benchwarmers. I know it's so stupid, but I can't help but just laugh every time it's on. Number 2 is going to be a complete 180 of that in 42.
So good. Yep.
And then number 1 is going to be The Sandlot.
Yes. The Sandlot's on mine. Moneyball is actually my favorite, so that's on there as well. Rounding out mine will be 61. It was an HBO movie about Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle. I know as a Red Sox fan, you're like, what? You don't like Fever Pitch? No, I'm going to go with 61. And then for my fourth,
if Fever Pitch was on your Mount Rushmore. That would be amazing.
For my fourth, I'm going to go with Major League. That movie still makes me laugh, the first one. I will admit the third one is a guilty pleasure. But, yep. So that's my Mount Rushmore.
The good news is you remain consistent. Like I said, I would listen to our baseball movies episode to kind of get myself in here. You remain consistent, so well done.
Am I?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Cool.
Sandlot and Moneyball remains on mine. Little Big League.
Oh,
I love.
I need that to stream. I need it to stream.
I do. I bought it on through iTunes, and then my fourth one. What is my fourth one? Oh, Field of Dreams, of course, which is why. The biggest reason, so it's becoming an August tradition for United We fans to discuss baseball films in August, the dog days of August, if you will. And this upcoming Thursday, so the day after this episode premieres, the Yankees and the Red Sox are playing in Iowa at the Field of Dreams, just down the road, 8,000 seats.
Not the Red Sox.
White Sox.
Oh, did I say? I meant White Sox. I knew it was the Chicago White Sox. Did I say Red
Brian,
Sox?
come to my side, Brian.
My bad.
Come to my side.
The White Sox and the
Strike
Yankees
one, Brian.
are playing in Iowa this week, and the field looks absolutely incredible. 8,000 seats. It's going to be just a television spectacle.
Yep.
I'm super jealous. I've been right near the Field of Dreams, but I've never actually visited it.
I think this game's going to go better than the London games. Though this is saying it as a Red Sox fan. That field was too short. I mean, it was a great experience to play in London. I'm glad we got over there, but I think this is going to be a better game experience. So,
yeah, it's gonna look awesome. The people there are actually going to understand what's going on. Whereas the London fans maybe not so much. So. But playing at the Field of Dreams this week is kind of what inspired our idea. And shout out to the Wolf of Main Street, Ethan. He gave us the idea of he kind of started the gears turning a little bit on doing a Field of Dreams type. So we want to build our Field of Dreams with our team of fictional baseball or on-screen baseball characters from movies or TV. Most of them are going to be fictional, but maybe not all of them. But as long as they've shown up on screen as a baseball player, they qualify. Technically, it doesn't have to be as a baseball player. Like I told you guys via text message, if you want to make the argument for Optimus Prime playing second base, then I will go for it. Or as Anthony then responded, of nobody could hit the 360-mile-an-hour fastball out of the tailpipe from the mound. But for the most part, it's going to be actual baseball players from the movie. We'll go through our batting order. Just kind of one at a time and see who we got and make any comments that we may have, and we'll go from there. So we'll start with our guest first. Anthony, who's your leadoff hitter and what position are they playing?
So my leadoff hitter is going to be Squints from The Sandlot.
7 Weenie.
Fun fact, over the weekend, I told you this, Brian, 8 of the 9 kids from The Sandlot were doing an autograph signing at a sports memorabilia show across the river that I would have loved to go to, but unfortunately I did not make it. So.
Oh, that's a bummer.
They look so different now that they're all like 42, 43.
Except Squints, he still looks exactly the same, just a few more tattoos.
Yeah, he just has sleeves on his arms.
So Squints is batting leadoff, and he's your shortstop, I'd assume.
Squints is my right fielder.
Oh, he's your right fielder. Okay, so you're doing some position changes.
Yeah, I had to.
All right. All right, Mark, who's your leadoff hitter?
Willie Mays Hayes from Major League.
Nice.
My outfielder.
He's playing center field, or just one of the outfield positions?
I didn't get that specific. Yeah, I just went with outfield.
Yeah, he's the right leadoff hitter. I had him originally, and then I actually took him off my team in favor of somebody else that I have hitting ninth, so I will tell you. I have, and I did not do a position change because I feel like his limited knowledge of the game would come into effect. So I have my third baseman hitting leadoff because you want your leadoff guy to get on base every time. I picked the smallest strike zone that I could find, and I picked the chimpanzee Ed from the movie Ed. And I am sticking with it. Joey Tribbiani's roommate, and he loves frozen bananas, and that movie is horrendous. And I am sticking
so bad.
I am sticking with Ed, the chimpanzee, as my third baseman and my leadoff hitter.
Well, all right then.
We'll go snake draft order. I'll come back around. Second base, somebody who can drive him in, also put some speed on the bases. My second baseman of Benny the Jet Rodriguez from The Sandlot is my number 2 hitter. Mark, who's your number 2 hitter?
I actually had Benny the Jet at shortstop, batting second.
Anthony.
All right, second, I've got Jackie Robinson from 42 at second.
I didn't do Jackie Robinson, and I kind of feel bad about it. I'm just going to get out there right now. Like, I should have him on my team, but I do not, and that's just how it's going to be.
What I said for me, my way of thinking of this is, I could have done Ken Griffey Jr. from Little Big League for my outfield. I could have ran Randy Johnson, but I decided for me how I'm going to do it. No, Optimus Prime is not on my list, and I wasn't going to do like real life characters. So for me, I'm going with the oh, you're using your made up names. I'm using made up characters.
All right, fair enough. In what position is Jackie Robinson playing, Anthony?
Second base.
Second base. All right.
Second base.
Batting third in the order for Anthony.
That is going to be shortstop Derek Jeter from The Other Guys.
You shot Jeter.
He has it one-legged Jeter?
Yeah, I could have done Jeter from Anger Management, but I went with Jeter from The Other Guys. So
that's a great pick. I love that. Mark, who's batting third for you?
Batting third and playing catcher for me, Dottie Hinton from League of Their Own.
Dottie. Good call. I like that one.
Yeah.
Mark already said it. If I was building my fantasy baseball team, my center fielder is none other than number 24, Ken Griffey Jr. The legend. Yes, Anthony's got a Ken Griffey Jr. Baseballism t-shirt on right now. The legend of Ken Griffey Jr. is strong in the movie Little Big League. Mark also talked about Randy Johnson in that movie and how menacing that man is, the big unit. But I love Ken Griffey Jr. I am very comfortable in taking him from an on-screen and putting him as my center fielder, batting third. Batting fourth is my designated hitter, Ham the Babe Porter from Sandlot. That is my designated hitter. Mark, who's batting cleanup for you?
Batting cleanup for me will be Pedro Serrano from Major League and playing outfield as well.
Nice.
Joe Boo.
I don't have Pedro Serrano either, actually, now that I look at it. That's okay. Anthony, who's batting cleanup for you?
Cleanup for me is center fielder Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
From Little Big League as well.
Woo!
So,
Mark, are you going to allow us to have Ken Griffey Jr.?
Like I said, it's how you. I mean, Bryan, if you had a team full of Autobots and the T-Rex from Jurassic Park, I'd have been like, okay. And if Anthony would have done like a whole team based on real characters, go for it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do like characters. I'm going to go for that.
We haven't touched the world of television yet, and I don't think I'm going to. Anthony, you have some television characters?
I do.
Okay.
And it's more so just to kind of be a little bit out of left field about it.
Hey-o.
Pun intended?
I've got two.
Nice. Okay, Anthony, batting fifth.
Two. Batting fifth is my DH, St. Louis's own John Goodman, playing the Babe Ruth.
Nice. I didn't even think about that one. That's a good one. Is John Goodman from St. Louis? I don't think I knew that.
He is.
Sully himself.
Yep.
Mark, batting fifth.
Batting fifth, I am going to do Crash Davis from Bull Durham. He will be my DH.
I was going to say he's a catcher, so he's going to be DH. Okay.
Yep.
I am moving from third base to shortstop, position switch. Roger Dorn from Major League. I'm moving him over to shortstop because I need to leave Ed at third base because he can't cover second on a steal attempt or anything like that. So I have Roger Dorn playing shortstop. And in sixth, my left fielder, Shoeless Joe Jackson from Field of Dreams? Mark, batting sixth.
Batting sixth, Marla Hooch, and playing second base. And I hope they don't just play night games. Thank you.
Anthony, batting sixth.
Batting sixth, I've got Benny the Jet playing third base.
So we all have Benny the Jet on our team. Yeah. Anthony,
and he is the one that was not at the autograph signing, which is kind of the reason why I didn't go, because I knew then. I was like, well, if I didn't get all 9 at once, I wasn't going to have an uncompleted signed poster of everybody from the team.
It would have been funny if for them, in an effort to get like all 9 of them there, they picked the old man that played Benny the Jet at the end of the movie. That would have been awesome.
Yeah. They said it's the first time in 2 years they've all been together.
They do get together every so often. I wonder why Benny the Jet wasn't there. That's a bummer.
Well, was he in Mighty Ducks Game Changer?
No.
Okay.
That was Kenny Wu.
All
right, Anthony, batting seventh.
Batting seventh and catching is Ham from The Sandlot.
You know, if my dog was as ugly as you, I'd shave his butt and tell him to walk backwards.
Mark, batting seventh.
From the underrated baseball movie, which takes a look at baseball in Japan, Mr. Baseball, I'm going with Tom Selleck, Mr. Jack Elliott, and he'll be playing first base.
I expected you to have Mr. Baseball. That didn't.
Wow.
You didn't let me down.
Thanks, buddy.
From Little Big League, batting seventh for me, I have Timothy Busfield's character. And Timothy Busfield, by the way, everybody probably remembers him either as my first baseman, Lou Collins, or they really remember him from Field of Dreams. Honestly, when I see his face, I think of him as that crazy stalker guy from First Kid.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but he's great. Lou Collins is a fun character in Little Big League. Again, I love that film. It's on my Mount Rushmore baseball films. Catching for me, batting eighth in the order, is a sentimental pick of nothing else. John Kinsella, Ray Kinsella's dad from Field of Dreams. He's the catcher for the Field of Dreams team. I have him as my catcher. Again, completely sentimental. Crash Davis is probably the right choice to play catcher for me, but I'm going to go with John Kinsella as my catcher.
If you build it, he will come.
Mark, batting eighth.
Batting eighth from The Natural, Roy Hobbs.
What position is he?
I was going to do outfield. Yeah, that's where he played in the movie too.
Oh, did he? I thought he was the first baseman in the movie. I haven't seen The Natural in a really long time. I did see The Wonder Boy, though, when I was in Cooperstown last month. That was cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Anthony, batting eighth.
Batting eighth and playing first base is Stan Ross, Mr. 3000.
I was so close. I was so close.
And then that was batting eighth, right?
Yep.
Okay, batting ninth.
Okay, batting ninth. And this is one of the TV shows. I'm sure you guys have been watching Monsters at Work. And you know exactly where I'm going. I'm going with the Green Monster. I had that show on in the background for Connor to watch, and I wasn't even paying attention. Man. And then I just hear, oh, fly ball deep to left. Oh, it's gonna go right at the Green Monster, and I just laughed. And then as soon as you asked me to do this, I go, oh yeah, especially with these two guys, I'm going with the Green Monster and Monsters at Work.
That's awesome. Episode 3 of Monsters at Work on Disney Plus. If you have no idea what we're laughing at, that's hilarious. That's a great choice. Oh, Mark, batting ninth.
This is the only one I'm not happy about. I had Roger Dorn playing third base.
Why are you not happy about it? He's amazing.
He's amazing in the later movies when they make him
that's fair.
An idiot.
Corbin Bresnan is the actor. I love him. He's Sean Spencer's dad in Psych. That's what I know him most from. Batting ninth for me, and this is why I laughed so hard when Anthony put it on his Mount Rushmore, I have 12-year-old Carlos from the Benchwarmers. He's the Dominican guy that comes in and they slip the birth certificate, says I am 12 on it with the $10 bill to the umpire.
With the $10.
Carlos is my right fielder, and he is hitting ninth in the order to flip the batting order.
You smell like beer. You look like beer.
So to go through my list again, 1 through 9, I have Ed at third base. I have Benny the Jet at second base. I have Ken Griffey Jr. in center field. Ham the Babe Porter is my DH hitting cleanup. Roger Dorn hitting fifth. At shortstop, Shoeless Joe Jackson in left field batting sixth. Batting seventh is Lou Collins at first base. John Kinsella is catching and batting eighth. And Carlos from the Benchwarmers is batting ninth and playing right field. Mark, who do you have? What is your 1 through 9 again?
So my 1 through 9 is Willie Mays, outfielder, Major League. Benny the Jet, shortstop from the Sandlot. Dottie Hinson, catcher, League of Their Own. Pedro Serrano, outfield, Major League. Crash Davis, Bull Durham, DH. Marla Hooch, second base, A League of Their Own. Jack Elliott, first base, Mr. Baseball. Roy Hobbs, outfield from The Natural. Roger Dorn, third base, Major League.
Anthony, 1 through 9.
All right, leading off, hitting leadoff. Right fielder Squints from the Sandlot. Batting second is Jackie Robinson from 42. Batting third is shortstop Derek Jeter from the Other Guys.
I love that pick.
Hitting cleanup is center fielder Ken Griffey Jr. from Little Big League. Hitting fifth DH is the Babe from The Babe. Hitting sixth is Benny the Jet playing third base. Hitting seventh catching is Ham from the Sandlot. Hitting eighth is first baseman Stan Ross from Mr. 3000. And hitting, I'm assuming can hit, the Green Monster from Monsters at Work playing left field.
Does Mr. 3000 hold up? I haven't seen it in a long time.
No.
I don't think so.
It's nostalgic.
I like Bernie Mac, but
yeah, it's got Bernie Mac, but oh man. Yeah.
All
Bernie
right.
Mac. He saves a lot.
Before we round out the rest of our rosters, let's hear from our sponsors.
Is Disney World home to you? Realtor Victor Naraki can help make it a reality. Realtor Victor Naraki specializes in making your Disney home dreams come true. Second homes, investment home, retirement, relocation. With Victor's input, he will show you the home opportunities that you don't get to see as a tourist. Imagine being at the park in minutes, walking around the World Showcase for daily exercise, watching the fireworks in your own backyard, or having Disney Springs as your local mall. Have you ever heard of Windermere, Winter Garden, Horizon West, Dr. Phillips, Claremont, Lake Nona, or Disney's own Celebration and Golden Oak? Victor can introduce you to these communities, which are just minutes to the magic. Stop imagining a Disney life and start living your dream today. Call Victor at 407-340-9375. And don't forget to mention that you heard all about Victor here on Chip & Company Podcast Network. Head over to DisneyAtYourDoorstep.com and start living your magical life today.
Anthony, we're going to pick 2 pitchers. So you have a starting pitcher and a relief pitcher. So who's starting the game on the mound for you, Anthony?
Wild Thing from Major League.
Ricky Vaughn.
Yep.
He's starting. He's not your relief pitcher. Okay.
No,
I considered him for relief pitcher, but I do not have him. And then if
I've got an off the wall for relief pitcher.
When Wild Thing gets too wild, who's coming in to replace him?
So I went with Rigo Sanchez. And you guys don't look like you have any idea who that is.
That's Eastbound and Down, right? That's Kenny. Oh no, that's not Kenny Powers. That's
Kenny Powers. I almost went Kenny Powers. So Rigo Sanchez is the kid from Trouble with the Curve that Amy Adams discovers at the end, who ultimately comes out and, spoiler alert for that 7-year-old movie, the one who puts the Matthew Lillard's pick to shame with a curveball.
Yep.
So I thought that was a good baseball movie. I know it doesn't get a lot of love, but
I appreciate it.
Yeah. I like the old school versus new school tactics. I mean, I think in baseball right now, a lot of these hitters and pitchers, there's so much information. There's no way they can absorb all of it. I mean, see the ball, hit the ball.
Mark, who is your starting pitcher and your relief pitcher?
Rick Vaughn is my starting pitcher. Wild Dang. And then Nuke LaLoosh for my relief. I know he had some trouble with control, and I know I don't have Crash Davis at catcher, but I think Donnie Hinson could reel him in from Bull Durham.
I don't care for Bull Durham, and everybody knows that.
Yep.
My starting pitcher, if you need to go out and win one game, there's no other person I would want on the mound other than Tony Danza's Mel Clark from Angels in the Outfield. So I'm going to go with him, especially if he has heavenly help. And my relief pitcher, I have Henry Rosenbagger. Yeah. Henry Rowan Gardner from Rookie of the Year. That's the first time that movie's even gotten a mention today. That's kind of a shock.
Well, I thought about him and I thought about coach possibility, and I was actually mad at myself for not having any Angels in the Outfield.
Mel Clark, I think, like I said, I think Mel Clark is the right choice from Angels in the Outfield. I don't know. That movie needs to get on Disney Plus like ASAP. Come on, people. Figure it out. All right. I have an owner, I have a GM, I have a manager, and I have a pitching coach. So I'll just give all four. Coach. I'll just pitching coach is the most obvious answer on the board, and it is Brickma from Rookie of the Year.
Key to being a big league pitcher is the 3 R's: readiness, recuperation, and conditioning. You see, after the game, a lot of guys like to ice up their arm. Still other fellas think that heat is the way to go. But I have discovered the secret, Henry. Hot ice. That's right, hot ice. I heat up the ice cubes. It's the best of both worlds.
Brickma is my pitching coach. My manager is Jimmy Dugan from A League of Their Own. My general manager is Billy Bean from Moneyball. And my owner is Billy Haywood from Little Big League. I think he seems like a fun owner to play for. And he knows the history of the game. I don't have an announcer, but I feel like the announcer for me, I do love the random stats that the one in Little Big League throws out constantly. That makes me laugh every time. And I'm apparently like one of the few because there's not a single clip of it anywhere on YouTube that I can find. So I might have to create my own. But I feel like, why am I blanking on his name from Major League?
Harry Doyle.
Well, yeah, Harry Doyle's Bob Uecker. Sorry, I couldn't think of the actual guy's name. Bob Uecker from just a bit outside from Major League, I think is the most correct answer for an announcer, but I think you guys might say differently. But yeah, so that's my team with an owner, Billy Haywood. Billy Bean is the GM. Jimmy Dugan telling him not to cry, and Brickma locked in his locker room. Mark?
Yeah. I had Jimmy Dugan as my manager as well. And then for announcer, I did have Harry Doyle from Major League. I actually also had Billy Haywood as my owner. So good on you there. I agree with your pitching coach. And I know I said no real life person. I didn't really have a GM in mind, but I love Moneyball. So Billy Bean.
Anthony, who rounds out the rest of your organization?
All right, my GM is going to be the same as you guys with Billy Bean. My manager is actually going to be Dan Loria, plays Al Luongo in the show Pitch, which was on Fox. Ran one season. I don't know if you guys saw that or not.
Was that the one with the girl pitcher?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It looked good. I was told to watch it.
Yeah, I think it's running at like a 7.5, 7.8 on IMDb, but it only lasted one season. And I like anything with Mark Paul Gosselaar. So, my owner is John Lovitz as Mel in Benchwarmers because he's just so funny to have millions of dollars to just build a park. And I had 2 announcers that I bounced back and forth. I ended up going with Smalls as an adult from The Sandlot. You know, when he's calling.
That's a good call.
But
the Jets
if I had
home, the Jets go home.
If I had to pick who I would want Cotton and Pepper from
Dodgeball.
This sport doesn't build character, it reveals it.
F&A, Cotton, F&A.
It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him. Oh,
that's who I would go with.
Oh, that's awesome. Good old.
Did you guys pick a mascot?
Jason Bateman. Did I pick a mascot? I did not pick a mascot. It sounds like you did.
Alligator Loki.
I thought of from Brockmire. I was trying to think of their mascot from
Brockmire.
Brockmire.
Great for an announcer. How did I not think of Brockmire? Oh,
I almost went with it, but I haven't seen it.
Oh,
It's so
Brockmire
good.
is laugh out loud
But-
funny.
Some might call that ball Istanbul, but I call it Constantinople. You can stick me in a long Italian boat because that ball is gondola.
I tell you this though, Brockmire season 1 to the last season.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about a show going in a very different direction. Yep. So, but a brilliantly written show. He has a podcast now that I listen to. I like it a lot.
It's on the Levitard. It's on the Levitard podcast network, and I listen to those shows religiously. So I listen to the Brockmire podcast. He's funny, and shout out to Danny Glover's George Knox as a manager as well. I feel like we can put him as the third base coach. Do you have a mascot, Mark? That's a great one. I didn't even think Alligator Loki. That's amazing.
But it's a real alligator. It's like a minor league team. It's a real alligator just wandering around,
like a horns on his head.
Yeah,
like the LSU Tiger.
I don't have a mascot. I don't.
Okay.
I'm like drawing a blank.
I'm going to pick a real world mascot, and I want Gritty. Because I love Gritty.
The thing of nightmares.
I love Gritty.
We've got a friend, a real friend, Ryan, who's going to enjoy the last part of this.
Alligator Loki and Gritty? Yeah, that's not going to go
Yeah,
over so well.
I'm just imagining an alligator going around like the pool in the Diamondback Stadium. Just, anybody seen Alligator Loki? Yeah, I think he's over in the pool.
You know, I'm going to go from the New Orleans baby cakes.
That thing creeps me out.
But what? But yours doesn't? All right. Yeah, I'm going with the baby cake, the king cake baby.
Have you ever seen the baby head on Phineas and Ferb? Because that's what the baby cake one, that's what that reminds me of.
Well, friends, that concludes this rewind episode of United We Fan, Field of Dreams. We thank you, fellow fans, for uniting with us as we talk about all things fandoms. For those listeners who want to get in touch with the show, please do so. Bryan, let our listeners know how they can stay up to date on everything United We Fan.
You can find us on Facebook at United We Fan, the podcast, or on Instagram at UnitedWeFan_podcast.
Thank you again, and listen to us wherever you check out your podcasts on the Chip and Company Podcast Network. Till we unite again, fans, remember, who's on first?
I don't know. Third base.
Do you love Chip and Company Podcast? Be sure to head over to chipandco.com for even more Disney Parks news, entertainment, and review podcasts. Chip and Company has been delivering the best in Disney news, planning tips, and more since 2009. Now you can get your news in an audio-only format all week long. Every Monday, join Mark and Greg for Diz Life Podcast and start your week off the right way by living your best Disney life. Tuesday is our news and review podcast discussing the latest breaking news from the Walt Disney Corporation. Every Wednesday, we're discussing the best of Disney parks with Chip and Greg. Join Bondo, Miriam, Tinker J, and Mark Andrada every single Thursday for We Like Theme Parks. And every Friday, join Mark and Greg on And Company as we break down the top headlines of the week. Fellow fans unite with Mark Adams and Bryan Lee on United We Fan, the podcast, now at its new home here on the Chip and Company Podcast Network. Get that extra dose of Disney in your weekly commute, your time on the treadmill, or even just relaxing around the house. So stop what you're doing and smash that subscribe button to be a part of the best podcast network in the Disney community. We hope that you enjoyed today's podcast, and thank you for being a part of our podcast family.